Welcome to What School Should Have Taught You, the podcast where I share with you all of the lessons to grow true wealth. Today we're going to be talking about the highest paying jobs that you can have without necessarily having to go to university. Now, it's not a replacement for hard work and dedication, but nevertheless, if you do or are in these occupations or can work towards being in these occupations, this could give you a really great chance in building a very strong wealth creation journey or a very strong portfolio in whatever investments you choose to utilize.
Everything school should have taught you in one place. With a property portfolio of over 17 million and an accountancy firm of over 16,000 clients, as well as being an accountant to some of the wealthiest people in Australia, Jeremy Iannuzzelli will be sharing his lessons on everything school should have taught you so you can build the life you want.
Don't think because you didn't have any form of tertiary education or university qualification that you can't make real wealth. If you didn't go to university or have some form of higher tertiary education, don't feel that you can't make real wealth. It all comes back to hard work and determination. Now, I want to give you just a really good example. Now, these are very common things that we would all understand. The person who earns more has the ability to invest more, but I just want to bring this a little bit more of an illustration. Now, we've got Jane and Jim. Both love their job, both dedicated to what they do. Absolutely want to invest and both have the right amount of knowledge to invest. Jane earns her $85,000 a year. She pays her tax of roughly $18,000. Her expenses notionally around the $54,000 mark. She has about $13 a week that she has to invest, which is going to give her over a 10-year period, the rough balance of $130,000. Now, if that $130,000 compounds at 5% per annum over the next 10 years of her $13 a week, she's going to be left with $163,000. So pretty good work. Jim, on the other hand, he's on his $135,000 salary. Yes, we know he earns more. His tax is a lot higher, roughly about $35,000. His expenses are relatively the same to Jane. I want to go through a really great illustration between Jane and Jim. Now, both dedicated to their job, both work extremely hard, have equivalent investment knowledge. They both really want to get started in investment. Now, I want to go through just some basics. Now, most of us will know this, but I think it's really good to bring this to attention so we can just see the difference. Now, Jane, she earns her $85,000 a year. Her tax is roughly $18,000. She's got about $54,000 worth of expenses given the times that we're in. And that leaves her with about $13,000 to invest per year. Over a 10-year period, she has capital of about $130,000 that she's invested. Now, at a 5% compounding return, that means after the 10 years, she's going to have about $163,000. So nothing to laugh at. Done very well. But Jim, on the other hand, does have a high-paying job. $135,000 is his income. He's got tax of about $35,000, expenses roughly the same as Jill, about $54,000. He's got expenses of roughly $54,000, the same as Jane, and that's leaving him with about $46,000 per year to invest. Now again, over 10 years, that's $460,000 worth of capital, 5% invested compounding return per annum, giving him the better part of $578,000 at the end of his 10 years. So again, just a very clear illustration that yes, earning more money gives you the ability to invest more money, which will drastically change the numbers at the end that we have to play with in our investment journey. So it is important. Earning more money does give us the opportunity to invest more and does give us the opportunity to accelerate our investment journey. That always needs to be part of the investment plan, the ability to earn more money. Now, I just want to emphasize that both Jane and Jim, very much identical. Expenses are the same, skill sets are the same, knowledge is the same. It's just that Jim has strived to get that $135,000 job and Jane's at her 85. So the more money that we can earn, the more we can invest. And the more that we can invest, it will change and alter our outcome at the end of our investment journey. So it needs to be something that you are thinking about. How can we strive to earn more money? Now, with all that in mind, let's jump straight into the list. Starting off the list with number 10 is an ethical hacker, $101,000. Now, I had to source all these references from a number of different sites, Australian-based, of course, which allows us to give us an understanding of the average top 10 incomes without requiring a tertiary education. But what an ethical hacker is, and the best way I can explain it is in relation to the movie Catch Me If You Can, starred by Leonardo DiCaprio. It's a movie where Frank Abagnale, which is the lead character, led by Leonardo DiCaprio, is doing a whole bunch of check fraud and getting free rides with airlines all the way around the world, pretending to be a captain of the plane. But he then gets a job with the FBI and assists them on multiple things in the future, which allows the FBI to make a number of arrests around fraud. To break it down, what an ethical hacker does, he takes off his bad guy hat, puts on his good guy hat, but then keeps all the bad boy skills to be able to catch a number of different criminals or hacking or creating fraud around the world. With a number of scams happening around the world, and as an accountant, I see a number of clients who get a number of emails or text messages pretending to be the Australian Taxation Office or other government authorities. This is an industry that over the long term, or maybe in the next 5 to 10 years, I can see really taking off, as a huge amount of emphasis now is placed on scams and malware, especially everything that's becoming digital around the world. If your computer skills are as good as mine, maybe that 9th job on the list is more your style. And that's a personal trainer. $110,000 a year is on average what they're earning. Now, we all know that personal trainers don't derive their money from a salary. There is a bit more of a hustle that's required, especially obtaining clients, maintaining clients. A job like this might be suited better to a person where they want to be outdoors. They're very people focused. They like regiment, they like planning, and they like working towards goals, not just for themselves, but for their clients. So I was very surprised, but also very pleased to see that this job came at number 9 on the list with such a strong income of 110 grand. But it's not for the lazy and not for the faint-hearted. It's a job you really need to sink your teeth into and have a passion. Locomotively moving into, is that even a word, locomotively? I'll say it anyways. Locomotively moving into number 8 on the list is a train driver. Now, it's a skill which we don't often hear about. I personally haven't seen very many advertisements for it, but it's coming on the list with $110,000 as an income, which is a train driver. Now, noting the salary is $110,000, in some cases, it's noted that the income can go up to $200,000 a year, acquired with a bit of overtime and potentially with a Cert 4 certificate. Now, being a train driver obviously comes with a lot of care and responsibility because there's so many souls on board. I wouldn't call it one of the most fascinating jobs where you're spending a lot of time with so many different people, because most of the time you'd be in the train cockpit by yourself. But nevertheless, such a strong income from an occupation which we don't often hear about. So thank you to all the train drivers out there, and good on earning for you. Digging our way down the list is mining. Now, mining's been one of the beating hearts of the economy, especially here in Australia, for a number of years. It's the ability to dig up the dirt, send the minerals overseas, collect a good paycheck, have a huge amount of royalties for the country, and Australia prospers from it as a whole. But on the list, number 7, mining with $110,000. Now, I want to note, mining's one of those jobs where it is intensive on the body. It can be very good income, $110,000 being the average base, but noted it can be well over $250,000 depending on the conditions and the locality of the mining job itself. It comes with ultimately a lot of rewards. There's a lot of promotions in the industry. It also can be very taxing on family life as well. However, if you're in a position where you're comfortable working anywhere between 5 to 6 months of the year on a rotating roster, this is a great job for you to really capture the income while you're young and strong, invest it quite wisely, and then return back to normal working life without the stringencies involved on being a mining employee. So this is a great way to really build your wealth quite quickly, especially while you're young, and invest it wisely when you do get older. Now, speaking to a lot of clients in the mining industry, if you can get onto an even timed roster, a 2 and 2, which is essentially 2 weeks on and 2 weeks off, instead of a 2 and 1, a 2 weeks on and 1 week off, that's going to essentially cut 3.5 months off your working time in the job throughout the year. So there are some perks. There is a lot of hard work in the industry, but again, if you put your mind to it, save your money, invest your money, there's a lot of rewards, especially at the end of the career. Number 6 on the list, and not quite in the middle, is middle management. Now, middle management can range from various different things in various different professions and occupations, but it's essentially becoming a lot more than just an employee. This is a manager of a business or a manager of a group of employees. Now, this comes on the list at about an average salary of $114,000. This can essentially be at the middle of your career or towards the later end of your career. So it's always great to see that if there's progression within inside the profession or occupation that you're in, Middle management might be suited for you with an average income of $114,000. Generally speaking, it's a salary-based position, normally more than the standard 40 hours a week, as there's a bit of work that you need to do outside normal working hours, but the rewards are there if you're willing to spend the time. Coming in as a relatively new occupation, especially over the last 10 years, number 5 on the list, social media marketing manager. Massive amount of opportunity. I see this as a huge space in the industry, especially for a lot of the younger generation. We all know that the world is linked now through various social media platforms like TikTok, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and alike. This job's coming in with a $120,000 average salary. And it goes to show that you don't have to be old and full of wisdom and experience to earn the big bucks. This is a great opportunity, especially for the younger generation, to get into a profession and an occupation where there is a strong income, and again, leading to the ability to do a lot with it, especially now and into the future. Keeping with the theme of management, we've got number 4, project manager. Now, project management, first thing that comes to mind is you're project managing a job site, you're project managing a construction site, a multi-dwelling building, a huge apartment block, but not necessarily. Project management is definitely a wide range of services. Project management is managing a project from start to finish. With a salary of $122,000, that's not something to shy away from. So if you've got really good managerial skills, especially delivering a project from start to finish, again, in most industries, then this is a great role for you. Sometimes, I suppose the downside might be that it could be job specific or it could be task specific, which doesn't necessarily give us a longevity of career in this particular profession. But nevertheless, there's an opportunity there. And given the shortage that we've currently got in the employment sector, I think it's a really great opportunity for you. Number 3 on this list, ICT manager with a $130,000 average salary. Now, IT's been around now for the good last 20 to 30 years, progressively developing and growing significantly as the whole world's becoming connected through internet and emails and other things and resources. But this profession, my personal opinion, I really enjoy it. However, if sitting behind a desk all day like I do is not your cup of tea, then you might want to circle back to personal training or project management. Now, flying into spot number 2 is air traffic controller. Now, I've seen a number of articles recently in many social media and many media platforms about the shortage of air traffic controllers. But flying into this spot with a $141,000 salary, that's not a laughing matter. Now we're talking about really good coin. Now, it's a role that will require a lot of Tetris skills. It is a job under pressure. And it's a job specifically aimed at a person who's willing to work in a high pressure environment, surrounded by people that are probably mostly very tense, but nevertheless a fulfilling role. Now, you think you'd have to be a pilot previously or have some crazy mathematical skills, but I was surprised to see that it's a no experience required job with a significant amount of on-the-job training. So if you're looking for that change of career and you're having that urge to go into air traffic controller, expect an average salary of $141,000 when you're up and running. Hammering in the number 1 spot is a construction manager with a whopping $160,000 average salary. I manage a number of people in the construction industry, and this happens to be probably one of the most stressful jobs that I've ever seen. You're getting paid really good money, but you're dealing with a lot of fires every day. So this is definitely not a job for the faint-hearted. It's a job that requires a lot of management skills. It's a job that requires a lot of people skills. And it's a job about gelling both together because you're dealing with so many different people from all walks of life, and you're having to manage a lot of personalities, especially on a job site. Now, it's exciting to talk about this job because you can really start with a hammer or a shovel in your hand. It's one of those jobs where you really do learn over a number of years the skills that are required to be a successful construction manager. Most people would say that, wow, you do need a university degree to do it. It may fast track you to get there, but I think you would argue to say that a person who's been on the tools for a number of years and understands what building's all about, construction managers are a really great role for them. And with a great $160,000 salary and longevity in the career, I think if you really put your time towards it, there could be some really great rewards in terms of remuneration. A construction manager, $160,000 a year. Now that's a great income. Now I've got one last job on the list that didn't make it. However, I call it a bit of a bonus job. And it's anyone in the sales profession. Now, I manage a lot of people in the sales industry, selling anything from pipes to pipe machinery to real estate agents to car salesmen. And I've seen these people become very successful over time through dedication, hard work, and sheer determination. It's a job which has a low base at the start, terrible working conditions, long hours, and I mentioned before, low pay. But the longer you're in a particular profession, especially as a salesman or saleswoman, the rewards do come. And I've got a great story and a great example. I've got a client, she's a lady, a fantastic woman, and a great sales lady. She started in the medical industry selling medical equipment. Started with a base of $40,000 probably about 11 years ago. Today, still in the same industry, still selling medical equipment, and her salary, including bonus and commission, hasn't been less than $500,000 for the past 4 years. So she's a really great story of someone who toughed it out during the hard times, put her pennies aside, made sure it went the furthest, and today she's earning over $500,000 a year. She's got an extensive property portfolio, well into the tens of millions of dollars, a great share portfolio, well into the multi-millions, and this is a lady who could very easily start her own business today and multiply her income earning potential substantially. So salesman, saleswoman, it's a great job if you're willing to put the hard yards in early. It can be very rewarding as you are getting paid not for what you produce or the time that you put in, but for the results you can deliver. And given sales-based industries have a low cost of barrier to entry, it can result in you owning your own business. Because as we all know, all great businesses are led up and head up by great saleswomen or salesmen. So why I wanted to really talk about the 10 highest paid professions where you don't necessarily need a university degree or a tertiary education is I want to really bring it back to our Jane and Jim story. Now, as I mentioned before, they're both extremely similar. They've got a passion and desire for their job. They've got the same relative expenses, about $54,000 a year, but Jane's only able to invest 13 and Jim's able to invest 46. One of the common excuses that I hear from some clients is that I don't have a university degree. I don't have the ability to earn that extra income. However, what you've seen here through these 10 highest paid jobs without tertiary education required or a university degree is that that's an excuse. There are opportunities out there for you to earn more money. There are professions out there for you potentially to try where you can have a great salary, especially above the Australian average. So go out there and give it a try. Don't play the poor card. Don't have the poor mindset. There are opportunities for you to go out there and earn some of these high incomes that some of these 10 highest paid jobs are providing. I'm Jeremy Iannuzzelli, and this is what school should have taught you.